Happy New Year to you all, and God bless you, Scott Meyer here! And welcome to a very special video. Not only are we going to be drawing the main protagonist of Pixar's latest hit, Soul, we are also going to be reviewing Soul. Because, to be honest guys, I think this is some of Pixar's greatest work in quite a while. Is it as good as the likes of Up or Inside Out? Probably not, but I would still rate this film as one of the top 10 Pixar movies. It is that good. So, what exactly is this movie about? It's set in contemporary New York, and we meet this man by the name of Joe Gardner, played by Jamie Foxx. Now, here's a fun fact. This is not the first time that Jamie Foxx has played a musician. He's also played a musician to my memory in the film called The Soloist, in which Robert Downey Jr. also featured. A wonderful movie if you get the chance to see it. But anyway, Jamie Foxx is Joe Gardner. And he's got this job as a musician, but his real passion is for jazz entertainment. And eventually, one of his former students gives him an opportunity to perform on the piano, his favorite instrument, and things seem to be going well for him, even though his family, namely his mother, seems to oppose the idea because entertainment is not really an easy job per se. But he does get a gig, and he's so excited, but unfortunately, something unexpected happens. He dies. And his soul is on his way to the afterlife when he cuts a corner and he finds himself into a place called the Great Before, where unborn souls form their personalities before they dive into the earth. Here, a whole bunch of shenanigans are displayed, and he meets up with one particular unborn soul who doesn't want to be born because she just can't be bothered with a few things and doesn't know who she really is, and thus they go on a journey together, which gets quite bizarre, but generally this film is talking about the meaning of life and how you ought to live your life to the fullest. And this is a great film to talk about counting your blessings and just being thankful for what you've got, because life is a precious gift after all. And this film, in light of what's happened in 2020, could not have come out at a more perfect time. It is unfortunate that we weren't able to see it in the cinemas, which is strange because we were able to see films like Tenet in the cinemas, yet we got to see Soul only on Disney+. But hey-ho, at least we managed to see the film eventually. And you know what? All the anticipation was absolutely worth it. Not only is this a great film, but it's a brilliant film to discuss these existential ideas with such creative imagery, such as being in the zone, such as fulfilling your personality, finding your purpose. And all of it is consistent, and all of it is in, for lack of a better word, harmony. And something that's particularly impressive is how the animation styles are contrasted, yet they complement each other. And this is one of Pixar's best looking works to date. You can tell that a lot of effort was put into this. It just looks gorgeous. All of it looks gorgeous. The life animation looks absolutely gorgeous with the way the textures are formed and the lighting. It just so happens to be Pixar characters in the real world, basically. It's just that good. It's really interesting that it's not necessarily going for a photorealistic approach. It's just showing us the beauty of, the texture and the lighting. Yet they're still talented enough to give us quirky character designs. Like the main character still has this sort of pear-shaped head, and so you can still tell which character is who. And then in the sort of afterlife cosmos dimension, everything is more simplistic, but it's not overly simplistic. It's really, really creative, as well as amazingly dreamy, as well as otherworldly, for lack of a better word. It's brilliant, just what the things that they delve into and how much they talk about life and death, and they play up a lot of jokes. And if I were to nitpick on anything, there were a few things that I thought, wait, that doesn't seem to fit quite right. Like, it is still kind of funny, but at the same time, it's sort of, maybe they could have worked on the humor a little bit better. Like, for example, there's this one joke where the soul of Mother Teresa is mentoring Soul 22, saying, I care about each and every soul, only for the soul to annoy her and say, except for you. Like, wow, really? That's how you're going to depict Mother Teresa? That's like you got Abraham Lincoln saying, I care for every single slave, except for Tim. Stuff you, Tim. You're the one slave I don't care about. So, a little extreme, probably a bit unnecessary, but yeah, it says a lot about the quality of the film when the only flaws I can find are basically nitpicks. And I really don't want to talk about this film without spoiling anything, because I want you to enjoy this video of me drawing the main character. I'm really impressed with Pixar making these films that are talking about big life issues, and I'm particularly impressed that Pete Docter is really good at making films that don't necessarily have a main villain as such. There is this one person, I think his name was Jerry, but even then, Jerry's not really a villain per se. He's just a cosmic being doing his job. And honestly, does lead to some really creative imagery and some jokes at times. And what else is there to admire about the film? Because it gets really creative, but I don't want to spoil it as such. And believe me, anybody in the comments will probably likely spoil it for you. Oh yeah, there's this quote that happens at the end of the movie. I don't want to spoil it as such, but I guess I have spoiled it by saying it's the ending. Oh, Callum, you silly cookie. Basically, there's a part of the movie, I have just mentioned which part it is, where Joe Gardner says, I'm not sure. In response to, how are you going to live your life? He says, I'm not sure, but I do know I'm going to live every minute of it. Of all the quotes to go into 2021 into, I think this is the top quote to live by. I think this movie just came out at just the right timing. That quote is absolutely profound. That's the sort of quote I'm gonna live by. So, in an overall estimation of the overall quality of this movie, overall, I'd say this is one of Pixar's best movies yet. May not be as good as the likes of Up or Inside Out, but Pete Docter is doing his genius work as always, and this is a deep philosophical movie to ponder life over, as well as the afterlife over, so I would highly endorse this movie, and I recommend you seeing it. Yeah, this film does have one or two rough edges, maybe some of the acts that the characters get into are kind of questionable, but I'd say anything wrong with this movie are pretty much nitpicks. In the meantime, I'm going to rate this film an 11 out of 12. I'd highly endorse seeing it. God bless you all, and let's go into 2021 together.